Hello and welcome to the social... No. What's that doing in there? I don't need that.
What's that doing?
What's that doing in there? Get out of here, brain. Stop it. Well, take two. Info dump or don't say a word. Move my head around like a startled bird. Can't do housework when I choose. When I win, I convince myself I lose. Fabric feels weird against my skin. I gotta hold my breath when I take out the bin. Can't go out cause it's too hot and bright. I can't sleep at night cause there's too much light. The bees in my brain won't let me speak. My thought process is quite unique. The mask comes off and now I'm weird. Everything is as I feared. Living in this world can be quite a chore. We've all had enough, but we still want more. Leave me alone, I don't want interference. Hey, no, mate, that's the Autistic Experience. Hello and welcome to the Autistic Experience, your one-stop shop podcast for neurodivergent news, ramblings, commentary, and guinea pigs.
Yes.
New episodes come out every Sunday at midday British time, and when you're not listening to this, you can go follow us on Instagram at The Autistic Experience for all sorts of goodies, which mostly involve small clips from last week's episode. And also, of course, some very important information that we'll get to a bit later on. My name is Kieran, as always, joined by Chloe.
Hey.
Hi.
I never know what to do there.
You can say hi or hello or...
Hello.
I think last week you just went ka-chow or some other... wasn't necessarily ka-chow. But it was just a noise.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morrow.
Good afternoon if it's midday.
Yeah. Well, good time.
Good times.
Good time. Why don't we say good time? Why does it have to be specific to like day, evening?
I don't know. Let's do that. Good time.
I think we should bring back good morrow.
I like good morrow. Good morrow sounds fun.
Because it has that same sort of hello kind of vibe to it, but strictly speaking, I'm not quite sure what it's meant to refer to.
Yeah, like when is morrow?
When is morrow?
Who knows?
Because you got tomorrow, but that could mean maybe morrow is like a morning sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Because they both got the MOR at the beginning, and tomorrow could mean, I hope you make it tomorrow, to the morning.
Yeah.
Like you don't get eaten by a werewolf or a were-cow or were-goat or were-sheep or whatever sort of were-animal you've got prowling the lands, wherever you happen to live.
Wherever.
Yeah.
Wherever.
I think we'd have a were-fox around here, or were-squirrel. I think especially the squirrel. I see more often. I saw that squirrel that lives on our road like twice the other day. It's running down in the driveway. I'm looking at it. It's the same squirrel.
Wow. You were looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
Is that the squirrel that's like hung around and kind of
yes, a squirrel
weirdly followed me before?
It's a squirrel that lives on our road, yeah.
The one that kind of squared up to me once and followed me up the driveway.
It's entirely possible.
I think it might be that one. He's cocky, he is. He followed me up the drive once.
I think it was around one of the more recent storms, I seem to remember. Because I was doing some painting of the window sills during the last storm. Because I thought, hey, it's a good time to do it. Because it's naturally windy outside. So if we paint the windows, then open the windows, the wind will dry the paint quicker.
Yeah.
It's genius is what it is. But luckily it wasn't raining, because that would have messed it up.
That would have wet it.
No, it was just regular wind. So here's a top tip for you. If you've got to do any interior painting, do it during a storm. And then you open the windows and the airflow dries it off quicker than normal. I've just remembered there's a podcast to do.
This went down a road that I wasn't actually prepared for. Yeah. So this intro has kind of...
Oh, it's gone off the deep end straight off the bat.
It's even confused me, this one.
So, as usual, before we actually get into talking about important autistic ADHD experience news stories and advice and all that stuff, we have this compulsive need to tell you what we've been doing because reasons.
That's how it be.
Makes us seem more human, I've been led to believe.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we handily crowbar in this section called Home News. Home News.
So, what have we got for home news?
Wow, I think the big one for us this week is that we've got some new guinea pigs in.
We have the Kia's pigs.
Yeah, we've got 2 of them.
We have got
Pigs.
2 of them. Pigs.
We've got 2 little girls. They're called Rosie and Momo. We named them ourselves. Well done us. I think the best way of describing them is Rosie is loud and dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Momo is quiet and dumb.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all you need to know.
They're very funny. They're very stupid.
Yeah.
They're very sisterly as well. So, like, they will insist on eating exactly the same, like, strand of hay.
Yeah.
And they will take it out of each other's mouths. And, like, we can put a whole pile of veggies in there and they will both insist on going for the same one. Like, if one of them takes a lettuce leaf, the other one will follow and steal it.
Yeah.
When they've got so much more to choose from. Like, it's really funny.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case that the most delicious piece of grass or hay or lettuce or whatever is the piece in the other pig's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But they're very entertaining. We've had them for a couple of days now.
Yeah. Surprisingly confident, but they're quite young.
Yeah, they can't be more than about 3 months old, I reckon.
They were found in the stairwell of a block of flats with a bag of supplies. So I don't really know what the story was of them being left there, but that's where they came from. They've settled in pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah, they're doing good.
Yeah. Noisy.
Yeah, we just got to teach them how to poo in the right place.
Not everywhere. Not literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Rosie is an Abyssinian. She's the same breed as my very first pig that I had about 10 years ago.
Also my very first pig.
Yeah, so that's cute.
Not the same pig. We didn't own the same pig.
No, that would have been a bit bizarre.
That would have been strange.
We had different pigs. They just both happened to be Abyssinians.
Yeah.
But yes, we have them now as our company. So we've got to teach them to be absolutely crazy before they move out.
Well, not much teaching required, luckily.
They're already quite crazy.
They're naturals.
We'll have to put a picture up. We'll show you.
Yeah.
Show you Rosie and Momo on our Instagram. Guinea pig tax.
Yeah, that's fair. You got to pay the guinea pig tax.
Anyway, should we go on to actual news?
Yes, let's move on to other people's news. So, neurodivergent news time. It's actually been a bit of a slow week, I think, in terms of news. I mean, if we take out the regular fixture of ADHD medication shortage and various other, medication-based issues, then it's been a fairly slow week of news, that we'd actually want to cover.
Yeah.
So our first story tonight comes from Northern Ireland World, which, as you can imagine, is a website dedicated to the Swahili language. No, I'm kidding. It's Northern Ireland.
Would you like me to read this one? This title?
Yeah, if you want. Oh dear.
Funding success will enable sensory garden at War Memorial Park.
It's okay. Chloe is actually working on getting an Irish passport.
I do have Irish heritage, so it's all right.
So it's
I'm allowed
fine.
to do it. Antrim and Newton Abbey Council's Operation Committee was informed of a funding application has been successful I won't read the whole thing. That's all.
I should hope not. Basically, this article came out on the 14th of November, and it's a fairly matter of fact article. It basically just says that funding's been granted to create a sensory park somewhere in Northern Ireland. Was that County Antrim, which is up towards
Antrim Castle Garden.
Yeah, it's kind of the Northern Ireland up towards Giant's Causeway, I want to say, that sort of direction. So I think it's not the first sensory park that's been built in that sort of area. There's been one previous one with the idea of it providing a kind of a nice calming atmosphere for autistic folk and people with other sensory needs. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not quite sure, because it doesn't mention what actually is involved in creating that, because it mentioned about having like accessible play areas and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it might be like less of a kind of play area. It seems to be, because it's a sensory garden, which makes me think that it might just be kind of a quiet sort of naturey, planty area with seats and
benches and plants.
Yeah, just somewhere for like peace and quiet and relaxing and things, rather than kind of loads of people running around and screaming and playing and
yeah.
But it says as well that about projects that would positively impact sustainability and that, so maybe kind of planting trees and other plants to create these environments as part of that as well. Walking in nature is probably one of my favourite things in the world to relax. When I'm like in the middle of kind of nowhere and there's nobody around and I can just be at peace.
Just go sit in a tree.
I can appreciate how good a sensory garden would be.
Yeah. I think they've just got to be careful not to plant too many smelly flowers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, best of luck to them.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. It's good to see when positive developments are happening.
Yeah.
Occasionally, amongst all the nothing that people are doing about it.
And speaking of the nothing people are doing about it,
hey.
That's a very tentative segue onto our next story. So, if you listened to last week's episode, and if you haven't, go do that.
What you doing?
What you doing? Probably living your life, which is fair enough, but if you got the time. Last week we covered the story of Nicholas Thornton from a story in The Independent, which covered his, so far, about a 10-year ordeal through various mental health institutions, which has amounted to absolutely nothing apart from likely a lifetime of trauma.
Yep.
And also the loss of various bodily functions.
Yes.
So, as a follow-on from that, someone from the National Autistic Society on the 13th of November, so the day after our episode came out, so we can't necessarily guarantee that our exposure helped that, but we also can't disprove it either. So I, for one, choose to believe the first one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, someone at the National Autistic Society put out an opinion piece about this same topic and tied it together with the fact that earlier this month in the UK, we've got what's called a king. Right, and every so often he goes down to Parliament, which is a big building where all the shouty people do absolutely nothing, and sits down in a big fancy chair and a big fancy hat and reads out a speech that was written for him in a tone of voice which can only be described as "help me." So in this year's King's speech, a reformation of the Mental Health Act, which the government has previously promised to do, was suspiciously missing.
Whoa.
Which means that they have no real want to do it, or they have no plans to actually carry it on. And seeing as we should have a general election next year, this is basically the government's way of going, this is what you should vote for next year. This is what we're going to be doing to get you to vote for us. And apparently mental health is not on the docket.
Yep.
I think the idea would have been that an updated mental health bill, because the last one was in 2005, which was like the Mental Health Act. That act, the 2005 one, has directly led to Nicholas and the 2034 or 5 other autistic people. That's directly led to them being kept in the conditions that they are in.
Yeah, which is not great.
So bearing in mind what else was happening in 2005, the reboot of Doctor Who, let's see, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire was in the cinema.
Oh my god. Ew. That makes me feel old.
And let's give it another one to round it out. That's a good one. Revenge of the Sith came out. Star Wars Episode 3.
That came out at the same time as Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, it was around about the same sort of time.
No, it wasn't. What? Unbelievable.
So just think, the last time we had an update to a legally binding mental health act, Anakin Skywalker was also doing some quite harmful things to children.
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So just think about how far we're meant to have come in those 18 years.
Ew.
And you just think, oh, wait, legally, we haven't come far at all. We haven't done anything.
No. It's kind of just plummeted, hasn't it, really?
Yeah. So it's like, as we've said, you know, it's those people who need help and are not only being refused actual help, their lives are being made worse by that system.
Yeah.
They're just getting ignored and swept under and going, well, we've taken them out of society. What more do you want?
Yeah. The author in that says that it's kind of scary that you can get a child in school that's autistic that, you know, may be seen as disruptive, and that child could very quickly become another Nicholas.
Yeah.
Of just being kind of thrown wherever they can put them and then being subjected to horrible things and just kind of having their life ruined, basically. Yeah. It just can happen so easily.
I know that it's very easy for other things in the world, you know, like Russia and Ukraine is still going on. The issue with Israel and Palestine is still very much going on.
Yep.
And we've got the whole hubbub with trying to send asylum seekers to Rwanda, a country with famously not a safe place. And there's a lot going on, which makes it very easy to kind of sweep things like mental health away and just go, there's a time and a place to try and figure it out. But the thing is, those mental health problems don't go away. They don't stop just because war's happening.
No.
If anything, it makes it worse.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, it's entirely possible. Like, it's not difficult to sort it out. I'm sure there's funding for it, and like it's just going into certain people's pockets rather than where it should be going.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Which is a shame, but when you have stories like Nicholas and, you know, people talking about that, hopefully that helps to get the message across.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah, I think one thing this article does state, and I think it's a really important point, is that we cannot afford to forget these stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Because so few of us in those situations get to tell our stories and get to have them publicized in any sort of way, because they're literally kept out of the way of everyone.
Mm-hmm. Like they try and hide it, innit?
Yeah, so if you likened it to prisoners, right, you don't hear anything about what's going on until they get out.
Yeah.
But these folks don't get out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you said, when there's so many other things going on, you won't necessarily hear about people like that because I suppose, as harsh as it sounds, they're seen as not as important, are they really? Not as important of an issue as, the bigger wars.
No, it's not this big, exciting, globe-trotting story that affects millions and millions of people. Like, in this case, it's about 2,500, which is a very small proportion of the population. But that doesn't make it any less important.
No.
It just means that we have to shout a bit louder.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there aren't as many of us shouting about it. Put it this way, on Remembrance Day, the 11th of November, there are about 200,000 people marching for like a ceasefire in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
I have to assume that every single one of those people on the march, like for Gaza and all sorts of other protest marches which have happened, like especially in the last few years, have to have no idea what's going on with the treatment of autistic people in this country. Because if they did, and then didn't shout as loudly as they are with something that's happening halfway across the world, then that says quite a lot about, themselves.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if people just didn't know.
No, and judging by like the story and the conditions they're all kept in, I think it's deliberate that people don't hear about it.
Yeah. Here's the first story of that kind that I've ever come across, which is what makes it so important, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one because, I mean, as I said, like, we're not by any means faultless in this, ourselves, because, it's all very well and good us talking about it now, but like a week and a bit ago, we had no idea.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's fine us talking about it now. We're trying to like do our best with it. But had I not actively done the research into it to find the relevant story, I'm not sure it would have come up.
No.
And like, had we not been autistic, probably wouldn't have read it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show the importance of kind of publicizing that information and trying to make it digestible by people who might not read it otherwise. Because as we said, it's not some big grand war that's going on with all sorts of nasty words like, massacre and fatalities and genocide, Got none of those words that really kind of rile up emotions.
Yeah.
It's 2,500 humans basically just kept against their will for no crime other than being autistic.
Yeah.
And if you say, oh, but being autistic isn't a crime, how about you tell the government that? And tell them loudly. So that was neurodivergent news, and if you would like to have a look at those articles yourself, just to have a read, make sure we didn't make anything up and form your own opinions, read any related articles, do a bit of reading around the subject. You've got a bit of spare time. Let's do some homework. You can find references to all the stories we talk about and all the events we're going to go over in a little bit over on our Instagram page at the Autistic Experience. While you're there, go and press follow because we're very needy people and we like the validation.
Yeah.
Especially you, Chloe.
Oh, yeah. I'm a sucker for validation.
Yes, you are. But before we get onto the events, we're going to be delving into the minds of misunderstanding that is Reddit.
Woo!
By which I mean we're going to pull up a random old question from one of the various autism-based subreddits and try and provide a bit of an answer and provide some advice to a lost, wayward soul looking for their own validation. Or at least just an excuse to rant sometimes. So our poor, unfortunate soul's question today is, would it be wrong to use my autism as an excuse for why I'm not going to Thanksgiving? So this is an American-based question, as they so frequently are. Let me just read out the post's content. It says, my family is bigoted and I don't want to spend Thanksgiving hearing all sorts of homophobic and transphobic things. Fair enough. My family has recently started educating themselves on autism, and my mum has stopped pushing me to join social events because she's more understanding of how difficult they can be. Would it be wrong to use my autism as an excuse to avoid going? If I say the real reason it's going to turn into a lecture, I'm planning on moving and going low contact once it's feasible, but until then I don't know if this would be a bad thing to do. So, your thoughts?
My initial thought was definitely not. It's not wrong. You know, if you struggle being around them for whatever reason, then you can say that you just don't want to go, and you can put it on the autism. If it gets you out of a situation that you're uncomfortable with, without having to explain yourself and without having to be judged, then I would say do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it as well. It's, you know, I know we tend to be sticklers for the rules, and you want to be true to yourself, and you don't want to use autism itself as an excuse. But, like, as you said, Chloe, if your alternative is going to a frankly hostile environment, and the only reason for because we're going to use the word reason rather than excuse, if the only reason that your parents would understand or kind of think is reasonable is because you're autistic and you don't want to be in those sorts of loud environments, then yeah, do it. I think the advice here is do what you got to do to get yourself out of hostile situations.
Yeah.
Like, and that applies for basically anything. So if you've got to use a reason which is not, it's not unrelated, but it's not, you know, the whole truth, that's okay.
Yeah.
Even though you know it's not 100% true, to the people you're talking about, like, it won't matter that much.
No.
They're not ones for nuance, let's say. But in general, yeah, go for it. You have our blessing. Okay, and now we're getting on to the last bit of the show, which is checking out some of the events that are happening in and around the UK, which are geared towards us neurodivergent lot. So, coming up on the 22nd of November, between 10 and 4, at the usual place in Dumfries, which is, this is to be some sort of coffee shop. So this is the Good Connections drop-in for autistic adults, families and carers. So this is a space for local organisations to pop in and kind of provide information about services, activities and employment in the Dumfries and Galloway area, in this case specifically for autistic folk.
That's very good.
Yeah, so it says organisations who will be there for this event include Dumfries and Galloway Carers Centre, Dumfries and Galloway Citizens Advice Centre, Third Sector, Dumfries and Galloway, DG, Dumfries and Galloway, Voice, and include us. So do you reckon those groups are in Dumfries and Galloway by any chance?
I don't know, you'd have to check.
It's difficult to tell, isn't it? There's no way we could possibly know.
No.
But if you're around Dumfries, on Wednesday the 22nd between 10 and 4, it's free to go to, and apparently there will be hot drinks, and I have it on good authority that it's going to get a bit chilly at this time of year. So the more hot drinks you can get, the better.
I'm imagining just going in, and then once you're done, leave, put like a fake moustache on, and then go in again. Just keep going round in different disguises.
Hello, I am here for the hot drinks.
Just to get another hot drink,
Yeah.
Especially if there's hot chocolate on offer.
Yeah.
That's the real.
That's basically what I do at any networking thing.
gold.
I turn up.
Get
Like,
that free lunch.
Yeah. Grab all the food, all the drinks, have about 5 coffees, leave buzzing, and then I don't sleep that night. Then, on the 24th of November, so that's this coming Friday, at the Royal Albert Memorial Museum and Art Gallery in Exeter, in between 9 and 10 in the morning, there's one of those like quiet hours to allow people with sensory issues to go a bit earlier on to enjoy the quiet. But this is specifically for the Hollow Earth exhibition, which is the art of caves and subterranean imagery.
That sounds very cool.
So it's all art and kind of installations based on like the underground world.
That sounds really cool.
But yeah, it says it's divided into 5 sections and echoes the journey into a cave, starting at the threshold and ending in the depths. Our final event is on the 25th of November, in between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. This is at New Warlands Far in Durham, and it is Northeast Autism Society's Christmas Market.
Woohoo!
In November.
Christmas!
Look, it was bound to happen at some point. We're bound to mention it.
Christmas! It's never too early for Christmas.
So it says products will include handcrafted cards, textile gifts, furniture, floral arrangements, cakes, and much more.
Christmas.
So we'll probably have to go to the Christmas market at some point, but we'll do it maybe this week.
Yeah, when it's not hectic.
Yeah, when it's not hectic, because it's going to get bananas during December.
Yeah. Top tip for Christmas markets. Actually, we can save that for a later episode.
We won't have time. It will be completely irrelevant when it becomes relevant.
Oh, okay. Well, top tip for Christmas markets then, before it gets too busy, is go on a weekday in the middle of the day when everyone else is at work and not in December.
Yeah, go as early as possible.
Yeah.
And, the standard rules apply. Earplugs, sunglasses, taser. The usual stuff.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah. But that's it for the events. Details of all of those, of course, will be going up on the Instagram page, as well as references to both the stories we have talked about today, and probably some pictures of our new guinea pigs as well.
I think it's only fair.
Yeah. Which, of course, means that we have reached the end of this week's edition of the Autistic Experience.
What a journey.
What a journey. And if you would like to join next week's journey, that will be starting off from here at 12 midday next Sunday.
All aboard.
All aboard.
All aboard the train to God knows where.
Yep. We have no idea where we're going, but boy, you're going to have fun getting there.
There is a track. This train don't stay on it.
No. Now you can go and live your own life. So thank you for sharing your time with us. Your precious, precious time that we've probably completely wasted. So appreciate it. Cheers. If you've actually appreciated this colossal waste of time, then feel free to go and leave a nice rating and review on whatever podcast platform you happen to be listening on. And as we've mentioned, go follow us on Instagram at The Autistic Experience, because yes, as I said, we're very needy people and we like their validation. Also, if you want to see guinea pigs, go and do that. But yes, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your therapist, go listen to The Autistic Experience. Never know where you're going to end up, but you're going to enjoy the journey.
God, we haven't even had any evening tea.
No, we haven't. Not a single drop of evening tea, just a lot of mashed potato. So we will see you next week for more colossal wastes of time.
Bye.